two amateur golfers on a mission to play the top 100 courses in the UK and Ireland in just 10 years. This time we're over at the King's Course at Gleneagles, and we're playing with the chap in the dark blue jumper. His name is Colin. He was the member there that we played with, and he's very kind enough to invite us out there. So our mission today is to beat par on this magnificent golf course. Now you can see we played on a glorious day, really. Lovely blue skies, some clouds. You can see the rolling hills in the background. What a beautiful place to play your golf. And we'll talk about him as we're discussing the round. But Colin was an absolute legend to play with. Full of great banter, great stories. We've got the starter over here just chatting to us. So we've got Chris taking away the honours in our mission to beat par. And bearing in mind it was the start of May, we were had a bit of trepidation about what the weather was going to hold for us, but we got a beautiful day. So this is Chris teeing off with his driver, his first shot. So this is hole one, it's a par 4. So Chris teed off, his went quite left, over towards those bunkers that you can see. Then it was my turn to get my drive out. And I pretty much nailed down mine right down the middle. So very happy with my opening drive. Much the same as the Queen's Course the day before, so we played these courses as a double header. Take that. Two Bloody Marys, large Bloody Marys. That's me just letting everybody know what I'd had for breakfast. The breakfast at Gleneagles, and we did actually stay at the hotel, so this is Colin just driving, so he went left as well towards Chris. But the breakfasts at Gleneagles are absolutely legendary. There's pretty much anything you can think of to eat for breakfast, you can have it. So I started off with a couple of large Bloody Marys for breakfast, and that has resulted in a crackerjack of a drive down the middle. So we were very, very happy with I was certainly very happy with my start. And much like the day before on the Queen's Course, I actually played pretty well today as well. Now the King's Course differs from the Queen's Course in a couple of different ways. You've got length, so the King's Course is a lot longer. You've got a more normal variety of holes. So the Queen's Course has 5 par 3s, I believe. So a lot of people refer to it as a fun course. And certainly, I don't wish to dwell on the Queen's too much, but certainly on the Queen's Course, we did have a lot of fun. We had a great day. There were some very, very picturesque holes. And although we're looking at the same terrain that the course is on, I felt the King's was a bit more of a slow burner, whereas the Queen's, you got the highlights straight away. So that front 9 is absolutely stunning on the Queen's Course. So this first hole, it's a par 4. It's an elevated green, and all the greens are pretty big actually and rolled pretty true. The practice green was a good indicator of the kind of pace that we were going to get. But yeah, we finished off the first hole, didn't really cover ourselves in any glory. I think we both got 6s and 7s, so we weren't really happy with that, if I'm honest. However, Colin led the way again on hole number 2. He stuck his right down the middle, as always. I topped mine, which I was really happy about, as you can imagine. And then Chris went a little bit right, which just meant that he had to negotiate a bunker for his second shot. So this is my second shot. This is a par 4. So you sort of tee off from an elevated tee, and it's quite an undulating fairway. Colin told us that they'd cut a lot of the rough back and a lot of the gorse, so it was a lot easier to play when we played it, which meant that kind of filled us with a bit of confidence. And that's the great thing about playing with Colin. The whole way through, he just filled us with a lot of confidence about our golf, and I think that gets reflected in how we play, as you'll see. particularly in our mission to sort of beat par, we don't traditionally both start well. So, you know, we're 3+3 already after the first hole. Colin was a great golfer in his day and also now knew the terrain like the back of his hand. He's caddied on this course before, so he was doing a really interesting thing actually. We'd be putting and he would be able to tell us the break that we were going to get before we'd actually hit the putt, and he was sort of stood side on to our putt. It was just amazing to do that, really was. So a real bump and runnable course at the King's Course, and this whole green and fairway slopes downwards now as you get towards the green. So as we're playing our putts, the scores were, we both got a 7 on the last hole, we both got a 5 on this one, which is a par 4, which meant that we're +4 through 2 holes. So already we've got our work cut out, quite a lot to do. So next hole, another par 4. Now we couldn't place the camera behind our tee shots. However, what you're faced with is a huge dip and a really, really big steep incline. It sort of feels a bit out of place, this hole. There's my belly. Loving that. But it feels a bit out of place, really, because all the other holes are quite gently rolling, and this one's quite a severe down and up. Nevertheless, it was a hole full of character, and after your tee shots, you've got an approach shot that's blind to the green. But the green is pretty receptive, really. There's lots of room around it. There isn't much rough. So we did enjoy the challenge of playing it. Now, I stuck my drive into the gorse, which obviously I wasn't happy about, so I had to take a stroke and distance penalty. However, Colin very kindly gave me a great line to hit for my third shot, and it ended up at the back of the green, which I couldn't really believe. So I've started really getting appreciation for blind shots now. I play them quite well, and it must be something to do with the fact that I can't see where I'm actually trying to hit it. So I trust the yardage. I'm not looking at a target. It's just focus on the technique, get the ball up there. So maybe that's a lesson for future golf for me. So as we're finishing up over here, I scored a 5, Chris scored a 6. So my score carried through on this hole, and we're doing it as a 2-ball better ball. So we are now +5 through 3 holes. So we're not doing great at the minute. But as we stepped onto the par 4 fourth, Colin told us that Lee Trevino described this hole as the hardest par 4 in the world. So it's a pretty long par 4. It's 443 yards off the yellows. And you've got, as is quite classic it seems for Gleneagles, you've got this kind of bowl effect where you've got 2 banks either side of the fairway. So if you can get your drive straightish, it will funnel in towards the middle. I didn't. I sent mine out right. Chris sent his, he thought left. He wasn't too happy with it, but actually it turned out it was in a really, really good position. So I managed to get some advice off Colin. Colin said, look, go find your ball. Don't get too greedy with it. Don't try and go for the green. Just get it back into play, which I think is great advice for a links course anyway. So this was my 3rd shot now after having recovered. And again, slightly blind, but I got a good strike on it, and just hopefully trusting the undulations to get me there. This was Chris's 2nd shot from his drive, and he hit an absolute crackerjack. Ended up on the green, gave himself a couple of chances to get his par, to get his score.
You know, the sweet spot's so big.
Yeah.
Well, for a pro it is.
That's what I find, actually. It's just too big, isn't it, the sweet spot? So that was Colin talking about some of his golf clubs, and he'd had a little look at ours as well, and he was just saying that these new clubs, this just too easy. The old clubs, they're the proper clubs with a really small sweet spot. So I just joked that I kind of find that as well. Now, my game in general, I actually did quite well with my chipping and pitching, so and I brought my putting as well with me, so short game was on point. And on these sorts of courses, I think if your short game can be there, you've got a really, really good chance. So on this par 4, fourth, Chris got a par. So we remained at +5 through 4. I got a 5. So it's just starting to help us peg back. And this format's great for us. We love it because we don't really have to think about it. We just try and play the hole well. But we carry the best score forward. And Chris is the better player. He's got a decent handicap. So he's doing the bulk of the keeping us in touch. But we do tend to find that whenever Chris has a bit of a blow-up hole, I tend to do okay. So it does help us out. It really does. So we're +5 through 4 holes. This is a par 3, and all the par 3s at all the Gleneagles courses are absolutely magnificent. Really, really well put together. And this one, as you can see, it's an upturned bowl. So you've got big drop-offs all the way around. That's the back as well. And you've got these bunkers at the front. So it looks like quite an intimidating tee shot, but actually when you stood up there, it's not that bad. It really doesn't seem that bad. So we all hit the green, which we're really happy with. And as we're lining up for this par 3, which is the 5th, our scores will just start trickling through. So Chris actually managed to nab his par, which was great. Kept us at +5 through 5. I got a 4. So pretty happy. I'm sort of, after the first hole, just consistently playing bogey golf, which would get me towards something reaching 90, which I'd be quite happy with. And that moved us on to the par 5, 6th. But that Queen's, I mean, it was just like, it was like hit after hit after hit after hit. Every hole was just, wow. Now Colin steps up. 0 effort, 0 thinking. Bang. Straight over that bunker on the left, middle of the fairway. My drive coming up. And you can hear the shooting going on in the background. I absolutely nailed my drive. Straight over that bunker again, right down the middle of the fairway. Very happy with that. Got a straight one finally, yeah. Completed my collection. So Chris hit his and it went out wide right. Now the reason we're showing you this hole is myself and Colin both had an eagle opportunity on this hole, so it was worth celebrating. So this is my approach shot. A 5-iron. My objective here is to play it just right of centre and let it roll, because it was good for rolling up to the hole here. I've got a great hit. Again, you can hear the shooting on in the background, which I swear when you're playing, you don't really hear it that much. I didn't even notice it until I started editing the video. And my approach shot ended up to the left edge of the green, about pin high.
Apart from the golf course.
Colin, same again. Just steps up, hits it. Oh, Colin, that's a beautiful shot. Dead straight. He didn't quite have the distance on that one, but he was on the fringes of the green. Now, Chris, bless him. What he's really good at, Chris, actually, is when he's gone wayward off the tee, he'll recover really well. He's got the second shot in him to get back on.
This time.
Apart from this time. Yeah, and I've got it on film as well. Normally I don't get it on film. I've got it all on film. Don't worry, Chris. I wasn't filming any of that.
He's filming all of it.
That'll make the full cut, I think. I'll fast forward everything else. And it certainly did make the full cut. A rare occasion when Chris was struggling to recover. So this is where his recovery shots came to. And then now, myself and Colin, we have our chances for eagle. So Colin's got his eagle put here. Colin for the
eagle, yeah.
Steps up, knows that green inside out, sets it off, walks away, just nonchalant, rolls up by the side of the hole for a birdie. I mean, it was amazing, really. What a guy, what a player. Now, this was mine. I'd sized it all up, I was ready for it, and it was tracking the whole way.
For the eagle. Come on. Yeah.
And I did the same, just nestled by the side of the hole.
2 birdies.
So a couple of birdies going on there. So that brought us to +4 through 6. And I'm very glad, for me personally, to have taken a stroke off there. It was great. And there we go. Time to do the birdie dance.
Birdie time.
Amazing. That kind of hole is exactly why I play golf. Just for a moment like that. Just makes you happy. Really, really makes you happy. So this is the 7th now. It's a par 4. Now, tricky tee shot, this one, because it's sort of, the line pushes you all to the left-hand side, which is the sort of short way, but over that bunker, which is what on the right, which is where I ended up driving my ball, over that's when the second part of the fairway starts. So it's a long shot in, but actually you've got a shot. So it's a stunning tee shot to sort of take on. And again, just everywhere is just pristine. I mean, look at those clouds rolling in, the rolling countryside. The sun was out. It was a great place to play our golf. We had a brilliant day. A really, really brilliant day. And I really should stress that if you get a chance to play Gleneagles.
Apologies, Lord Lowson. Sorry, I need to use your correct title, sir.
That's what we...
That's how you were introduced to me, I think, at the wedding, yeah.
It's a bit of an insult to call me a lord.
Yeah, actually, to be fair, it is, yeah. Understood. Roger, roger.
What a character Colin was. He really was. Now, there's the in-joke is he's known as Lord Lowson to all of his friends, and that's how he's introduced me. I know him through a friend of ours. He's on his wife's side of the family, so great guy to play with. And honestly, we were just bouncing off each other the whole time. And because he'd caddied here, he just knew all the right advice to give us, but not too much. So we felt really privileged to play with somebody like that, and we hope that that can be replicated at some point. So the 7th hole, we didn't either of us can cover ourselves in any glory. So I scored a 5, Chris scored a 6. So I added 1 to our score. So we're +5 through 7 holes. And now we're coming up to another par 3. Again, a magnificent hole to look at, stunning on the eye. And you'll be able to see, you know, you've got a few bunkers that are there, just adding a bit of challenge. You've got a little bit of rough ground before. But that backdrop to your tee shot is just magnificent. Chris, Mr. Par 3, loves a par 3. Gives him a chance to fire at some flags. Love standing in front of the camera as well, by the way. But you can see here we all got away, and we actually all ended up on the green. Now this green, the full thing slopes from right to left as well. So all of our shots were shaping right to left, and then we caught the hill. So they've all ended up on this left-hand side of the flag. But we both managed to get our pars and walk away. So we remained +5 through 8 holes, which we're very happy with. And bearing in mind 3 of those shots as on the first hole, I think we've kept ourselves in contention pretty well. This next hole, the 9th, par 4. Again, another magnificent hole. It's 335 yards, but you're from an elevated tee, and all of the fairway slopes downwards. And there's a big, sharp uphill incline towards the green. So it's one of those where you can't see the fairway, which is really strange. You couldn't see any of the fairway. You can see the green. So you just had to kind of pick a line. And I should mention at this point, when you play Gleneagles, you get given a course guide. And on the course guide, that's all included in your green fee, by the way. I nailed my drive right down the middle. In fact, we were a bit worried that it had gone too far. You get the course guide, and on the course guide, it tells you which preferred line to take, because there are quite a lot of blind tee shots and approach shots. So a really great addition to our course, just part of the experience. It just made our time even more special. So I'm walking up here now to my drive, and I did actually drive it past through the fairway, but it was pretty much level with the green in just a tiny little bit of rough. You'll see in a second, the guys are just playing their approach shot. So they actually had probably quite a tough approach shot, really, because they're in the dip there, as you can see, and they've got to go to this sharply elevated green. I'm kind of at the base of the hill where the elevation to the green starts. So actually, I think I'm in quite a good spot, which you'll see now. So I just have to sort of chip it up this hill, and then I'll be on the green, which, on a rare occasion, I actually managed to do. So all three of us are on the green for 2, and we managed to roll in our pars. So we've remained +5 this through 9. So we're +5 through the front 9 holes, which I think is pretty impressive. Again, given that we lost 3 on the first hole, so we've hung on in there really well. If we can get our start sorted out, me and Chris, we got a chance. Now, this we must talk about. This is how you order your order at the halfway hut. So this is at the start of the 10th hole. You're on the 10th tee. You ring your order in. Now, we had a bit of an issue. The telephone line wasn't actually working. So, get your mobile out, give them a call, let them know which group you're in, and their promise is that they'll have everything ready and waiting for you when you finish playing the 10th and turn it to the halfway hut. What a great novelty this is. We loved it on both days, and on the first day at the Queen's Course, we actually managed to use the phone properly, so we couldn't help but sort of take selfies and things like that. Now, this is the 10th. Now, you know what order you've put in. Bacon sandwiches, the lot. And my drive, I was very happy with. At this point, I've got the driver clicking, and it went right down the middle, right down that line that's on that fairway. Which you can see just here, right down the middle of the fairway. And as you do with all good drives, comes a terrible approach shot. So I struck it really well, but it went right and it didn't quite reach the green. So wasn't quite what I was expecting to follow up my wonderful drive, which I was very happy with. Anyway, I managed to chip it on, get my 2 putts, and we both walked away with a 5, which meant that we were +6 through 10 holes. So we now had our work cut out. Now we don't consciously try and do this because it just gives us an opportunity to play the course properly. But hole 11, this is after the halfway hut, is a par 3, and all the people at the halfway hut are watching you, which is always nice. What they also have at Gleneagles is a starter to keep everyone on time. So you must take a mandatory 10-minute stop, which I think is really nice because it just means that you savour it a little bit more. You know there's a break coming up. Recharge your batteries. So on this par 3, Chris nailed his tee shot, rolled in 2 putts, gets his par. I was just left of the green, hit my chip a little bit spicy, and then 2 putts, so gave me a 4. So that meant that we remained at +6 through 11 holes. Leading up to the 12th. The 12th is a par 4. So this is an interesting par 4 because it's quite a wide open fairway and a really big green. It felt like a little bit of a nothing hole really, didn't have too much to it. But all you had to do was make sure that you get somewhere, even over those bunkers is absolutely fine on both sides, but somewhere around there, hit your drive, trust your line, and it really opens up for you. Now Colin by this stage has taken his jumper off because it was actually pretty warm, which again, start of May, I'm thankful for. We're eternally grateful for the weather that we've been getting. We sort of keep saying it's classic top 100 of weather that we're taking with us. Now you can see over that bunker is still fairway, so we're all good. Decent approach shot. I was swinging it quite well. I took the opportunity to sort of make sure I wasn't trying to overhit the ball. Just swing through it, almost like an 80%, 90% swing. And actually that was doing the job. It was doing the distance because there was good roll on the course. So hole 12. Chris played this really... Oh, I played this really well, actually, because I got my approach shot there. I got a 4. Chris got a 5. So we've remained plus 6 through 12. And again, I've helped out there by keeping the scoring going. Or keeping us in the hunt. But we're going to have to start clawing some holes back soon, aren't we, really? Now, the 13th. This is a beautiful hole. Lots of pot bunkers left and right in the fairway. Lots of undulation on the fairway. Slightly elevated tee. And you get a really good view right down the hole. And yeah, a real feast for the eyes. I hit this drive. Tried to overhit this one. I think this is the first one that I really tried to put some energy into. And it went way right. As you can see, I've just shouted 4. I think that was going to be a lost ball. So Chris hit one right down the middle. It had to be a provisional one for me. And what's the immutable law of golf when you're hitting your provisional ball? You're always going to hit it well and it's always going to go down the middle. Don't know what it is about it, but it always happens. So cursory look for the first one. You can see all that wasteland over on the right. That used to be a car park. That ball's gone. So here we go with our approach. Didn't play it particularly well, left it a little bit short. So my numbers are going up here now. And didn't play a particularly good chip on this one either. Short game abandoned me. So basically a bad hole, blow up hole this one. I ended up with an 8 in total. Chris, on the other hand, which we haven't been watching because the camera's on my bag. Chris rolled in his par putt. So that kept us at plus 6 through 13 holes. And then we came to the par 4 14th. Now this is a beautiful hole. This is called Braid's Best, this hole. So James Braid is the designer of the golf course. And this is an absolutely stunning hole of golf. You can see there's 3 bunkers in the distance. And you basically have to pick a line over the middle one. And it will funnel into the fairway. So anything short, you've got to go really short so you don't roll into those. Otherwise, it's very drivable because the distance on it is only 250 yards. So you can get to the green on this. So we both gave it a go. We promised ourselves if there's a drivable green, we go for it. And we did. We went over that left bunker. So a squeaky bum time, you're trying to figure out where it's going. You know you're not going to be in the fairway, but where you're going to end up. And we both ended up in the bunkers. So we didn't know this, but there were bunkers on the left-hand side to gobble up your errant tee shots. Chris, great out of bunkers. Me, not so great out of bunkers. So Chris has played his bunker shot and he's landed somewhere close to the hole. So he's got a birdie putt here. I got out of the bunker, but not very far. So I ended up with a 5. And this is Chris with his birdie putt, which he nailed. So we've clawed one back. We're plus 5 through 14 holes. Chris with a birdie. Doesn't do the dance yet. I'll get him to do the dance at some point. The next hole is a par 4. It's 438 yards. It's all downhill. And it's the one that goes parallel but back the other way from the par 4 that Trevino, that's the 4th par 4 that Trevino said was the hardest in the world. So you're going all the way downhill on this one. That was all uphill. So you know your ball's going to get good run if you can get it in the middle. Which I duly did. Or a little bit left, I think it was. But good hole nonetheless. Good drive, I should say, nonetheless. If I can find my ball. And again, you can see the whole thing. That's a top, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know. The whole hole goes downwards, so you can bump and run it really, really well if you have to really judge your pace well. But if you're good at that, you're in for a treat at Gleneagles. You really are. So we're kind of punting our way up here, really. But I'm up on the green, or just beyond the green for 2. And we both pretty much did the same. So we're on the green for 3. We both managed to get our pars. Sorry, not our pars, sorry. We both managed to get 5s, which pushed us back out to +6 through 15 holes. So now we've really got our work cut out to try and beat par. And we're coming up to another magnificent par 3. All of them are visually just stunning holes of golf. Now, there was a competition on the day before, so the pin positions were pretty tricky this time round, which we didn't really notice on any other hole, but on this one, the par 3, it all goes uphill, and it's tucked away behind that bunker on the right. So it kind of fools you into trying to go for it, but really the sensible play is over the centre bunker and just hit the middle of the green, because it's a large green and it's a good easy target. But as you do, you don't quite play it like that, do you? But Mr. Par 3 turns up, hits it on the green. I had a little excursion in the rough. Got myself onto the green. 2 putts. I got my 4. Chris had 2 putts for a 3. And keep us ticking along. +6 through 16 holes. Now at this point we've got a tap on the shoulder from Mr. Lawson.
We'll keep in touch via him.
Absolutely.
If I can help you, I will.
Colin,
Get onto some courses.
that was fantastic.
Real pleasure. I enjoyed
really
your
wish we captured
yeah,
the-
man hugging. We do that
hug.
all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
look, enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Keep in touch.
We will.
I'll
certainly
ping you
will.
my phone number and my email address.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Good lads, enjoy it.
Oh,
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank you, Colin. You've been an absolute
Brilliant.
gent. Thank you, Colin.
We'll see you again. I'm sure.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay, take care.
And you know,
Take
that
care,
man
bye.
really was an absolute gent. He was so kind, so generous, just so full of joie de vivre, as the French would say. We had a great time playing with him. And because he was there, we felt like he was our kind of like walking stick with us, like he was helping us out through everything. As soon as he disappeared, I went to pot. I suddenly realised I was tired. This is a really, really bad lazy drive. I looked at my first swing. It's all over the place, coming over the top. All sorts of things going wrong with it. Chris, he's in his groove at the minute. He's on a really, really good run. And he striped his drive right down the middle. So I hit my provisional. And again, bit of a lazy one, bit of a tired one. To the right, I'm already looking at a big score on this hole. It's a par 4. Not particularly tricky, but, you know, nice hole. All the fairway slopes left to right. So if you can keep it to the left-hand side, it will roll down and give you a good approach shot. I found that at the King's Course, all the approach shots were really, really nice and easy on the eye. And gave you a good amount of challenge, but also they were tricky. But, you know, if you played it well, you're going to get your reward. So I've been trundling up to the green, making my way there slowly. I ended up with a 7, so it was all on Chris, really, to do the scoring. He played a great approach shot, gave himself a pretty decent birdie putt, actually. And unfortunately, the putts weren't quite rolling in for him today. But he managed to do his 2 putts, get his par, and that left us +6 through 17 holes. So remembering again that we were +3 after the first 3 holes, the subsequent 16 holes we've gone in +3, so pretty good. I think if we can nail that first hole, we're good. Now Chris loves it, standing in front of the camera. Here he is again. So this was a par 5. Oh no, par 4 I should say. The 18th was a par 4. And it's all downhill. And you can just see everything. You're going in between those 2 bunkers. You can see the clubhouse in the background. That's where your line is. I ended up a little bit left of that. Tried to sort of recover my way over. That little knobbly bit where there's 2 bunkers where it's quite short, so you're just basically going through that and over. So you get good distance if you get your drive in the middle. And then this is a rarity which we managed to capture on camera. This is Chris not hitting a good approach shot. It's that rare, I thought I'd commentate on it. Now, this was also our signature hole, so if you follow us, you'll have seen our signature hole challenge. And my intention here was to just bump and run it up. And I did say it was very bump and runnable, this course, except for the 18th. That's the only time when it wasn't bump and runnable. As the ball went over this little hill, it disappeared into this dip, and it didn't come back out again. And I was like, what's going on? Turns out the dip had quite a bit of thicker grass, so it slowed the ball down. So it kind of thwarted me in my bump and run attempt. But as of finishing the 18th, I got a 6, which left me signing in for a 90 in total. Chris over here had a putt for a par. Which he duly saw away, and he was really happy with that, as you can imagine. So he was 2 over for the back 9, which is unbelievable, really. And he signed in for an 82, and we ended up +6 through 18 holes at Gleneagles on the King's Course. Now, I'm not too disappointed with that. We did a +7 on the Queen's Course, which I thought we would have done better on. But we've signed in for a +6, and our mission to try and beat par at one of these top 100 courses continues. But for now, that was us done. Get our standard pick with the flag. But yeah, game over. We lost, unfortunately. Didn't quite make it.